Welcome to Last Generation Audio Magazine, your source for Bible-centered truth in a turbulent world. Here we share compelling articles that reveal God's love, expose deception, and prepare people for the soon return of Jesus. You are listening to Volume 36, Issue 1.
George Müller. Could he prove to a nation of skeptics that God still answered prayer? Hundreds of orphans depended on that proof for their daily bread. By W.A. Spicer. The year was 1835. An obscure pastor with a thick German accent named George Müller was laboring in the west of England and distressed by the general lack of faith in God. "I longed," he wrote, "to have something to point to as a visible proof that our God and Father is the same faithful God as ever He was, as willing as ever to prove Himself to be the living God." Praying for guidance in this matter, the pastor was led to establish the work that grew into the great Bristol orphanages. The enterprise truly was a testimony to the living God, who hears prayer and does things on earth. His thought was, now, if I, a poor man, simply by prayer and faith obtained, without asking any individual, the means for establishing and carrying on an orphan house, there would be something which, with the Lord's blessing, might be instrumental in strengthening the faith of the children of God, besides being a testimony to the consciences of the unconverted in the reality of the things of God. Experiment in faith. As his orphanage work grew from year to year, George Müller's journal traced the record of daily dependence on God. Again and again, with no supplies for the next meal, the need was urged before God in prayer, and the help came. The entry in his journal for December 1st, 1842, reports 96 orphans in the homes and a shortage of supplies and money. "We were unable to take in the usual quantity of bread," says the record. "It may be asked," wrote Müller here, "why do you not take the bread on credit?" He continues, "The chief and primary object of this work was not the temporal welfare of the children, nor even their spiritual welfare, blessed and glorious as it is, and much as, through grace, we seek after it and pray for it. But the first and primary object of the work was to show before the whole world and the whole Church of Christ that even in these last evil days, the living God is to prove Himself as the living God, by being ever willing to help, succor, comfort, and answer the prayers of those who trust in Him. From the beginning, when God put this service into my heart, I had anticipated trials and straits, but knowing, as I did, the heart of God, through the experience of several years previously, I also knew that He would listen to the prayers of His child who trusts in Him, and that He would not leave him in the hour of need, but listen to his prayers and deliver him out of the difficulty. And that then, this being made known in print for the benefit of both believers and unbelievers, others would be led to trust in the Lord. We discern, therefore, more and more clearly that it is for the Church's benefit that we are put into these straits. Müller never laid down his own methods as the rule for others. He felt only, with the special call that he had, to let the work bear witness to God's daily oversight and faithful providence. He must never assume the burden on himself, but must wait on God, going only so far as the Lord made a way. And day by day the Lord vindicated his faith in a wonderful manner. At last, the time came for enlargement, and a building fund for new orphanages, on their own grounds, began to come in. Legacy of faith. As the orphanages filled up until more than 2,000 children were being cared for at a time, still it was a work of daily waiting on the Lord for supplies. Day after day, closed with no balance in hand, but with each day's absolute necessities met. While the Lord supplied their needs so wondrously, Müller was an economist, saving the littles conscientiously. He felt that only so could he expect God to hear and answer. Mr. Müller was drawn to pray also for help for foreign missionaries in that time of missionary expansion in far lands, and many gifts were sent to him for this work and for Bible distribution. In a summary of this man's life by the late Dr. A.T. Pearson, it appears that Müller, a poor man, had in 60 years been enabled 1. To build 5 of the largest orphanages in the world, in which over 10,000 children have been cared for. 2. To give to school work over $500,000. 3. To circulate nearly 2 million Bibles and portions and 3 million books and tracts. 4. To give over $1.25 million in aid of missionary work in various lands. 5. Altogether, in the 60 years, this man, without personal resources, who had less than $300 in money when he died, had received $7.5 million. $139.5 million, adjusted for inflation. Truly, the Lord helped George Müller to leave the witness, according to his desire, that God is the living God. Adapted from The Hand That Intervenes, R&H Pub, 1918, by W.A. Spicer. William A. Spicer, 1865 to 1952, served as an educator, editor, missionary, and church administrator for the Seventh-day Adventist Church for 70 years. He was passionate about mission expansion and served in India from 1898 to 1901, where Spicer Adventist University in Pune, India, bears his name.
Thank you for listening to Last Generation Audio Magazine. For more of our timely and biblical resources, including our print and digital editions, visit our website at lastgen.net and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.